The Flyers have fired John Tortorella as their head coach. It's true. They're just playing out the string. They're going to miss the playoffs for a fifth straight season. But they've only got 9 games left in the regular season, so why now? To speak to that, here's Craig Button. Craig, what's your take on the firing and its timing?
Well, when you're at the bottom of the standings and you've won but once in your last 12 games, you're on the hot seat. The spotlight's squarely on the coach. That's just part and parcel of being a head coach in the National Hockey League. It should come as no surprise that he was on the hot seat with the record that they've had over the last number of weeks. But when you ask about the timing of it, I fired a coach in Calgary in 2001 at near the end of the season because it didn't feel right to keep the coach in there because he wasn't going to return. And I think that Daniel Briere looks at it and says, he's not going to be my coach next year. Why wait? Why play out the string with a coach where you got to go and deal with him on an everyday basis, knowing that he's not coming back? You have to cut the cord. You have to cut it quick. You have to be decisive about it. Danny Briere was. And like every other coach, he comes with an expiry date. Just happened to be on this day.
All right, today's news comes just 2 days after Tortorella made some really interesting comments after the Flyers got shellacked in back-to-back games, giving up 14 goals in 2 losses.
This falls on me. I'm not really interested in learning how to coach this type of season where we're at right now, but I have to do a better job. So this falls on me, getting the team prepared to play the proper way until we get to the end.
Craig, no one thinks Tortorella is getting fired for those comments. Absolutely not. He's just a frustrated coach. We've seen this from a ton of coaches in the past. But this is a Flyers team that still has some major growing pains to go through, and Tortorella says he's not interested in coaching this type of team. Is it not incumbent on the Flyers to find another coach then who is willing to do this?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to take away from John Tortorella's comments. First of all, it's raw emotion. And when you haven't been able to find success, we just talked about 1 win in 12 games, shellacked in back-to-back games, there's going to be a raw emotion. There's going to be a disappointment. A coach's job is to go in and try to find solutions to the problems, to try to give the team direction, to try to help them understand what it takes to win. I don't think it was about this type of season, Gino. I took John Tortorella's comments as, one, he was taking responsibility. Number 2, where they find themselves currently and himself, where, he's not interested in trying to find a way when you're dealing with the challenges that they're dealing with right now, i.e. losing. No coach signs up to try to deal with losing. Yes, you have to find solutions to losing. Yes, you have to find solutions for success. But I saw it with respect to John Tortorella being frustrated. We've seen the raw emotion from John Tortorella time and time again in previous seasons. And this was just another example of it. So when we look at the Philadelphia Flyers, yeah, they're in full rebuild mode. And they're not close to being competitive, Gino. That's the reality of where they're at. So you're going to have the search for a coach that you feel can take a team that's going to have some growing pains and try to direct them through it. But I don't think that John Tortorella lacked those capabilities, lacked those abilities. I think that he helped a team and individuals grow with respect to their game and showing them the right way. But the timing right now isn't right for John Tortorella. It's not right for the Philadelphia Flyers. And I think that there's no question that you're trying to find a coach that can come in and deal with the building and the rebuild.
What about John Tortorella's future? He's just about to turn 67. He's been coaching for 23 years, 5 different teams, 770 wins, a Stanley Cup. I won't ask you to pick a team, but I will ask you this. What type of team do you think could fit his personality?
I think any team could fit John Tortorella's personality. He's been a superb coach in the National Hockey League. You just mentioned the stats, the wins, the championships, and you can look at it in many different ways. You can look at it, he's got to go to a team that's in win now mode. Well, I'll give you the Columbus Blue Jackets. He went there. They were not in win now mode, but he got them into a mode where they were competitive and they grew and made the playoffs in a lot of those seasons. And John Tortorella was part of that. He went to Philadelphia last year at this time, Gino. They were in a playoff race. They were right in the hunt for a wild card spot. And certainly John Tortorella has shown the capability to be with the top team and help them get over the hump and win a Stanley Cup, to get close to it. And I think that to just pigeonhole him, to put him into a narrow box of only this type of team fits, I don't think that is appropriate for John Tortorella's skills. I think that he takes on the challenges of whatever the situation is, and I think that whatever may be presented to him in the future is something that he would consider. I don't think he's one of these guys to go, I got to go to a team now that's in win now mode. I don't see that from John. I think John is a coach. I think he's a darn good coach. And like every other coach, you come with an expiry date. His arrived.
Yeah. Yeah. As for the Flyers themselves, they do have 3 first-round picks, 7 picks in the first 2 rounds of this June's NHL draft. So there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Now they just have to find a guy who's the right fit behind the bench to guide him through this process.